Video, I'm going to talk about why you should launch your startup with no experience whatsoever and why you should do it as fast as possible. So if you're like a student, you're in college or whatever, in high school, whatever, this video is for you. And the reason why I'm doing this is I'm the co-founder and CEO of a startup based in Berlin. We're fully remote and we've raised over €1 million from amazing investors, including Google and a couple others. And we also work with amazing customers like Pinterest, SAP, Zalando, H&M, Babbel, yeah, many, many more, right? And pretty much every day I get into these conversations with other founders and other kind of like aspiring founders, let's say, about, you know what, wait, let me get this off. No free marketing around here. No, but pretty much it's just, this is a whole topic that everybody kind of talks about all the time, is like, when should you launch a startup? The startup world right now is quite exciting. It's been exciting for a couple of years. More and more people want to get into it, and kind of like very similar to like a YouTube channel, everybody makes a whole deal out of getting started. And getting started is on one side the easiest, but also the hardest step, right? And so it is one of those things that you should just do as fast as possible. And so I really believe that like you should just get down to it. You should just give it a try as fast as you can. I'm 24 right now, and I've launched my startup when I was 18 or 19, I think, something like this. I dropped out of high school, so I have no formal education in absolutely nothing, and we just kind of figure things out as we go. So I'm lucky that I have two amazing co-founders. But aside from that, it was just kind of like a game of just getting started and figuring shit out as you go, pretty much. And so this is kind of just one thing that one point that is really important to me that I really want to get across. And so there's one really interesting, I think Japanese saying that kind of goes something along the lines of the best time to plant a tree was 10 years ago, and the second best time was right now. And yeah, I mean, I like that. But it's one of these things that people always make a big deal out of. I need to get ready. I need to get all this amazing experience. I need to work at all these companies. I need to get my business plan in order and all these different things. And the answer I have for this is that absolutely nobody gives a shit. And so, right, before I go rambling into a huge monologue, let me just get into my five bullet points. I'm gonna try my best to keep it short, but no guarantees on that. I'm just gonna freestyling this whole thing. So the first part is about risks and advantages. So let's say you're 18, like I was, for example, 19, you're under 25, whatever that is. Ideally, maybe even live with your parents or something like that. What are the risks, right? Because the main thing that holds people back when you're launching a business, and this goes for any type of business, but especially startups in general, is of course the risk, right? And 90% or 95% of businesses fail in the first year, and we all know the statistics. The main thing is that what is the worst thing that would happen if you're living with your parents right now and you drop out of high school, whatever, and you want to launch your business? What is the worst thing that could happen? You go back living on your parents' couch. That's about it, right? And so the risk is very, very low, and it's only going to increase from there. So if you're like 45, 55, whatever, you have a mortgage, you have kids, you have a car, and all these different things, the risk is higher. And so you probably have a lot more experience. Maybe you have money that you can invest, you have time, you have all this network. And so it is a completely different game, but the risk is much higher in the sense that you might lose your whole lifestyle, you might lose your house, you might lose your relationships and all these different things. If you're 18, you're 22, you're 25, whatever, straight out of college, nobody really cares. You know, like worst case, you go back living on your parents' couch and that's about it, right? Like you can make it work with like very low budget. And you also have a couple advantages here that like you're young, you know, you probably don't have a lot of other things to do aside from like just social life and partying, etc. So you can work 12, 16, 20 hours a day. Yeah, maybe that's a lot, but you can work incredible amounts of hours per day. You can work your whole weekends. You don't have kids. You don't have that much of a family life. You don't have all these other responsibilities, and you have the energy, right? So you can do a lot of things that other people can do. You can take a lot of these crazy risks that pretty much everyone is going to say that's stupid. And even if you waste 6 months, a year, 2 years of your life doing this, so what, you know, you didn't really lose that much. You can have nothing to lose. And so every year that goes by, you're gonna get more and more things that you can lose. And so I really believe that if you're gonna say anywhere between like 17 to like 30, something like that, you should just get started, you know, because you have nothing to lose. And this kind of goes back to like, even if you're in college, or if high school maybe was a little bit early, but like if you're in college or have a job or whatever, that job is not going to go anywhere, probably, you know. That college you're into, you can still go back next year, you can still go back in 2 years, in 3 years. That business opportunity that you might have identified right now, that's probably not going to come back. There's going to be others for sure, but it's not going to be the same one, you know. And so there's a bunch of reasons why I would say very low risks, and you have a lot of advantages. You have a lot of things that you can benefit from, and so might as well just do it. And then this, I'm gonna come back on like the fundraising side and everything right after. But if you're a student, if you're very young, you have access in most countries. Let's say, like for example, a Western country, let's say North America, Europe, etc. That's the part I know best. You have a lot of funds actually from universities, from schools, from the governments, etc., that can give you money to support your projects and whatever, because you're young, because you're a student, and all these different things that you're not going to have access to later down the road. So there's a lot of money out there that you don't know about, and so there's a lot of money that is reserved for this type of people that you're not going to get access to when you're 35 and have been out of university for 10 years. Second point, finding a problem to solve. This is one thing, like it's really important, of course, like this is the start of every business. You identify a problem and you try to solve that problem. On one side, yes. On one side, on the other side, kind of like not really, because you're going to figure out as you go. In our case, right now we're building what we call the operating system for the creative economy, right? That's a fancy little investor speech, let's say. But we pivoted, so we changed business strategies like 4 or 5 times. And so it was not really about solving that initial problem that we identified, but we were just kind of like going in the general direction. Then we pivoted many, many times. And so right now, you can even think of this, let's say you're 20 or something, and you can even think of this as just kind of like what is an industry, what is a space that I want to learn more about, that I'm interested in. Do you like cars? Just do whatever in that space, Do you like sports? Do you like football, parkour, whatever? Just do anything in that space and you'll figure it out. And so if you already have a clear problem that you think you can solve, or that you want to try and solve, just kind of like go for it, and then you'll figure things out as you go. The name of the game here is improvisation, that's about it. And so it looks from the outside that people know what they're doing. It's absolutely not the case. People have no fucking idea what they're doing. You're just kind of improvising week after week, day after day. That's why pitch decks are cool, important. They kind of show the general direction, but that's why people always say like try avoiding doing business plans, for example, because you're going to waste a lot of time doing a thing. You can't even guarantee, you have no idea what you're going to be doing next week, so even less 6 months from now, a year from now, whatever. And that's normal. That's part of the game, and everybody knows it. And so you just have to kind of have that general long-term direction, and then you just kind of figure it out on a week-to-week basis. Pretty much that's kind of what happens with most startups. And this kind of leads me to my third point, which is about testing and learnings. Nobody really expects you to actually know what you're doing or know exactly what is going to work out. And this is one thing that you only really figure out after you've been in the startup world for a little while, that this is all about theories and testing. And so this goes for a lot of other industries, but it's really just about testing new things. And so when you're raising money for investors, for example, it's not really about selling the thing that like, okay, we know exactly what we're going to do, and these are the steps, and these are going to be the results in 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, and we're going to make you a lot of money, etc. Like that would be nice. This is what we're going to aim for, but it's really more like we have this theory, we think this could be an interesting thing, and we want to test A, B, and C because we think this could be interesting. If A, B, and C fails, they fail, and that's most likely what's going to happen. And that's the whole investor business model for VCs, business angels, etc. That's what they expect. 95% of their investments are going to fucking fail. That's part of the game. And so this is just absolutely normal. The main thing is just that you should be testing as much as possible, testing as many different things as you can. And so you should just have like a general theory of what you're going to test and what you think is going to happen. This is kind of like basic science. I have my hypotheses, my theories, and we're just going to see. We're just going to see. And then the second part of this is the learnings. And so this is where things get very interesting, is that the goal is to learn as fast as possible and as many things as possible about the problem you're solving, about your target market, about all these different things, right? And so this is where, because you're young, you can absorb all that knowledge, and also it might potentially be a better investment than spending a couple years in business school, for example, simply because of like the learning curve that you're going to have. So how fast are you actually going to learn new things? And so depending on what you want to learn, college, university, whatever, might be one of the best ways, but there's many other ways that you can learn things. And so in my specific case, I feel like I've never learned as many things and as fast as doing a startup, because every day you wake up and you have to figure new things out that I had no idea even existed yesterday. And so there's a lot of useless things I learned, but I learned a lot of things really fast. Potentially, I think, and I'm pretty convinced of this actually, much faster than if I would have been in school. And I've learned a lot of very different things in many different industries and sides of the business that I probably never would have even cared if I was still in school. And so if you're 20, you're straight out of high school or something like this, the question is really more about like, it's not even if your startup is going to make you a lot of money and you're going to become a billionaire in a couple of weeks or anything like that. The question is like, how fast can you actually learn? And are you going to learn more useful and faster things than if you were in school or whatever other alternative you actually have? So this is just one thing here. And I just want to kind of quickly circle back to that part of like nobody expects you to know anything at the beginning. As I said, like, we've raised over €1 million. Everybody knows I dropped out of high school. I'm not the guy that studied this for 10 years. And so there's exceptions to this. If you're trying to do like a medical startup, for example, yeah, you probably better have those diplomas, but for like software, a lot of different things, like you don't need this, especially if in the startup world. So I'm not talking, for example, about starting a restaurant or drop shipping or anything like this, but if you're doing anything tech related, you're trying to build something new, something that doesn't exist before, you're the first person to do that, most likely, or to try to do that in that specific way. And so it is kind of normal that you're just testing. Nobody expects you to have the answer before because it's the first time that it's being done. And so this is kind of the goal. And it may look scary from the outside. You may think that, fuck, I'm still in high school. I need to finish this year. I need to get my diplomas, and then I'll have all these different things, and I'll get these diplomas. Absolutely nobody gives a shit about any of your diplomas or any of anything. The thing is, the only thing we care about is the problem you're trying to solve big enough? Is it interesting? Do we feel like you're the right person to actually figure this out? And it's not even about the plan you present today. Most people still know that, like, whatever plan you present, business plan, pitch deck, is most likely going to fail. It's not about this plan here. It's more to show that you're a person that can be trusted with their money to figure things out. Even if it's not this one, is the second one, is the third one, the fourth one, whatever. There's a bunch of videos that I really like on YouTube and on TikTok, for example, about what happens if you lose all your investors' money. And in most cases, people don't care, and a lot of those investors actually even ask to invest in your next business because now they know that the first one failed, but that was to be expected. But this person right here, they're the guy, they're the, you know what I mean? And so that's the main thing. And so I just have a quick interesting thing is that a lot of our investors, actually, this was quite interesting. I've only talked to like once or twice to some of them, for example, especially some of the smaller angel investors, etc. And I received an email a couple of weeks ago from one guy that I really like. We only had like 2 or 3 calls and then he invested. He still told me, like, I have no fucking idea what you guys do. And the only reason I invested is because I liked you, I liked the energy, and that's about it, right? And so he had no idea about what we did at the time, and probably still today. I'm not sure how many of them actually understand what we're doing, but it's about the people. Everything is about the people. And so this kind of gets me to the next point as well, which is about fundraising. As I said, let me just check how much I've been. Fuck me, I've already been talking 15 minutes already. Sorry about this. But yeah, the main thing about fundraising is that there is a lot of money out there, like way more money than you would ever expect. There's a lot of people that can drop you like a 50K investment, 100K, 500K, like it's nothing. And so there's a lot of people, a lot of our investors personally, that invested 5, 10, 15, 20, 50K without really looking at the details, without really caring about anything. And there's much more money. There's a lot of grants, equity-free grants you can access to from your university, from your school, from your state, from your government, from at many different levels. In Switzerland, for example, I'm from Switzerland, by the way, Switzerland, Mozambique. And so in Switzerland, we got grants from Julia, my co-founder's engineering school. We got grants from like a bunch of other programs. There's grants, and so you can get money from the city, from the canton, which is kind of like the state level. You can get money from the federal government. You can get money at many different levels, especially if you're a student, if you're in school in the past couple of years, if you're working on specific things, if you're working on anything, sustainability, for example, there's a bunch of grants for that. There's a bunch of grants for Black founders, minority founders, women founders, this, that, etc. You play those cards. If you have those cards, fucking play them and get that money. So there's a lot of those different things out there. Plus, and then the other thing is that you can start fundraising and getting money before you even do anything. Actually, there's a lot of accelerators and incubators out there that like you're gonna try and apply to, and if you already have a website even or a pitch deck or anything, they're gonna say already like you're too late, and so there's incubators and different types of investors for every stage of your company. The investors that are gonna invest like 50 million when you're already making 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 million per year in revenue are not the same as they're gonna give you that like first pre-seed check. So there's investors for every stage of your business, and there's investors that literally invest day one, before you even have a business idea. There's a lot of these programs that simply invest in the people. They're going to give you money, put you in a program, help you out, give you offices, and try to help you find co-founders and find that business idea. So there is investors for every stage. And then the second part is that probably don't need investment. Actually, there's a lot of things that you can do without ever needing investment. And this is one thing that we often discuss with my co-founders, that should we have taken that investment, and should we keep taking more investment down the road as well? Because those are, you can bootstrap your business and you can fundraise it as well. You can fundraise like a business angels, VC route. There's a bunch of different options, and they're all very different, and they come with different expectations, different consequences, different levels of controls as well. There's good and bad in all of them. And so you can also do it without money. And this is just one thing that I would just like to point out, in that you don't need to take anybody's money to make this happen. There's a lot of things. You can start a business with just a landing page. Literally just go on fucking Squarespace, whatever, do a landing page and just get started. You can get a lot of data to kind of validate a business idea, and then you can take that to an investor if you want to, without actually building anything. Maybe just do, just an example, just do one page explaining what your idea is, run 10 euros of Google ads, or launch it on Product Hunt, it's free, post it on a subreddit or something like this, and see how many people are interested. Put just a waiting list on there, like, yeah, it's coming soon, we're working on it, just to see how many people are interested. A lot of people actually do a landing page or like a button to sign up, and the button doesn't work, but you can just track how many people actually clicked on sign up or buy or whatever that is. You don't even have to have the product on the back. A lot of things you don't need to build. You don't need crazy expensive tech. I met two girls when we got invited to Georgia, East Europe one time. They had an amazing marketplace for therapists, and I asked them, like, I think they were making maybe a couple of hundred Ks per month in revenue, something like that. And I asked them, like, well, how does your platform work? How did you build it? And the platform was pretty much one website, one landing page with just information, a WhatsApp number, and a spreadsheet, and that's about it. And so if you're building a marketplace, for example, you don't need crazy algorithms and tech, etc., even to get started. And to be honest, that can take you quite far. What more do you need than honestly just one page with information, which could be like just a Google business on Google Maps, for example, a WhatsApp number, and maybe a spreadsheet of your suppliers. Like, what else do you really need just to get started? Probably nothing. And most of everything that you think is important right now, a business structure, accounting, etc., can be figured out later. Don't waste 6 months trying to figure out your tax structure if your business is gonna die anyways. More than likely you're never gonna even start that business, and so don't waste your time with fucking logos and names and domains and accounting and whatever. Like, you're gonna have to do that at some point, but just get started, because those are the things that make you waste time. It's kind of like the same thing on YouTube. Like, if you want to start a YouTube channel, the only real thing you need is to record a video and put it online. Kind of like this shitty video I'm recording right now. I'm not gonna edit this. I'm not even gonna color grade it. I took my phone. Look, I'm just sharing my microphone from my computer. You can see actually here, it's just recording literally from QuickTime Player, and that's it. I'm gonna upload it, probably get like 20 views, and that's about it, right? But you don't need anything more than this. And then, all right, I've been talking a long time. Just fifth point real quick. Dropping out of high school or college or whatever. I think this really depends, and this is a really personal choice. So in my case, I've always hated school. I dropped out not even to start a business, to be honest. I just dropped out because I didn't want to go to school anymore. Both my parents are college professors and researchers and they write books, so they fucking hated me. They almost disowned me. But that was for me, it was unrelated. Now, looking back, that was probably a bad idea. But if you actually have a plan, if you want to go out and start a business or anything else, where, like, as we said before, you think you could have a better learning curve, it's going to be more interesting, it's something that is more interesting to you, I don't think that's necessarily a bad idea. So if you can, definitely finish high school, that would be better. But aside from that, then you can try to be very honest about yourself, or like, what are your goals? What are the things that interest you in life? And most importantly, are you able to learn by yourself? If you're the type of person that goes on YouTube, if you're watching this video, that's probably the case, that can go on the internet and just figure things out by themselves, then I think dropping out for you might be a good solution. As long as you just don't stay at home and smoke weed and just do nothing all day, and you actually do something, probably you can probably figure things out by yourself and kind of like increase your learning rate. If you're the type of person that learns better in a structured environment, and that's the case for a lot of people, and there's nothing bad with that, then maybe it makes sense to just stay in school and do very well out there and kind of kill it at every level. So everything is acceptable and valuable, but just know that you have a lot of different options. And if you're the type of person that is interested in launching a business, for example, this is something I said before, that like the college is not going anywhere. Like that college is still going to be there next year. It's still going to be there in 2 years, in 3 years, whatever. The only thing that changed is you and kind of the rest of the world around it. So that college is still going to be there. And so if you think you can go to college this year, you can still go back next year. You can still go back 3 years from now. This is what happened to my co-founder Julia. She was at EPFL, one of the best engineering schools in Switzerland and in the world, studying neuroscience and bioengineering. So she finished her bachelor, and so then she dropped out for about, it was like a break, for 6 months. 6 months became 12 months. 12 months became a year and a half, 2 years, and she never went back. She might go back one day. And to be honest, I would love to go, actually not go back, go for the first time to college one day, but more out of curiosity, because like I know that now, at least in this business world here, this is what I like, this is what I know I can make it work. And so I don't feel like I need those diplomas or anything there. But the thing about dropping out is just, I would be careful. Don't just rush into it just for the sake of rushing into it. Because when I dropped out of high school, I was honestly just smoking weed and doing parkour. It was great. It was absolutely great, but it was not really going anywhere, if you know what I mean. I was just there with my best friend, smoking weed all day and jumping on walls and jumping on rooftops and that sort of stuff. I got caught by the cops many times for both things. And so there's a bunch of things, right? And so don't just rush into it just because, don't just stop going to school just because. There's a lot of positive of going to school that like you don't realize while you're in it. But it's not that deep, it's not that important. All the things you think are important, that like all your grades, your friends, whatever, they're probably not. And consider the alternatives, but just make sure that you actually have a plan that you can stick to for over 6 months would be great, over 12 months. And yeah, let me just check the time. Ooh, 21 minutes. All right. I mean, that's still my conclusion for this is just launch your startup, launch your business. And if you're in school, and this would be the thing where like you want to see a little bit of traction before making a bigger jump, for example, even if you're not in school, if you're 55, whatever, there's a lot of things that you can do to just kind of prove the concept real quick. Launch it on Kickstarter, launch it on Product Hunt, get some feedback, do like a quick wait list, do just a fake landing page. This is a very popular strategy. You have 10 business ideas, use fucking ChatGPT to help you out. Create a landing page in 5 minutes. You create 20 landing pages for 20 different businesses, launch them on Product Hunt, and just see what happens. Make a YouTube video about it, and just fake it. Worst case, you just shut it down, and that's it. Nobody needs to know. You don't even need to put your face on it. Just test things out and do like the super low effort, low commitment things first, and then if anything comes out of it, make it work. But again, launch your startup with no experience. There's nothing wrong with it, and sometimes that can even be an advantage. And secondly, do it fast. Don't waste your time with all the fucking logos, colors, domains, whatever. You have a business idea, just write it down, send it to 5 people, and get started. Do it right now after you finish watching this video. And I don't know, drop it in the comments. I'll check it out. I'll give you some feedback. I'll drop my email actually in the description. So just if you have any, if you want any feedback, advice, whatever, let me know. Always happy to help. And I'm gonna say this is the end. Cool. Thanks a lot for watching. If you watched all this huge monologue, and talk to you soon.